the boats are coming. Moira is begging Una to do something, to figure something out, and Una relents. And they're gonna have her pose as a volunteer. Make sure she doesn't fuck this up.
And this is the one time where I felt like Una at least showed a little bit of compassion specifically towards Moira. Because again, I don't think that she's not compassionate on the grand scheme of things, but I feel like with Moira, she's been extra cold and putting up a wall as if to not acknowledge her feelings at all. And I feel like this was Moira breaking through that at least a little bit, enough.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there. Like this is the only moment in it almost feels like this is the only moment in this episode that Moira does, or that Una does show that compassion towards Moira that you would expect from the level of intimacy that they've had, regardless of how new the relationship is. What a harrowing moment, though, to see to make that decision, tell her not to fuck it up, and then those three boats, or those three boats full of full of eyes and full of guardians on the boat, swooping around with their guns. And IDing everyone one by one by one. I do have a question. Why was Una on a different boat? Was Una separated from everyone else? It looked like.
I felt that too. I couldn't quite gauge where she was, but she did feel separate from everyone else. Like it seemed like the Guardian, or is it Guardians that they were with?
I think so. Yeah.
It makes sense, right? Because the Guardian that she was with seemed to be looking over the entire list of, I don't know, they looked like they were looking at the entire list of aid workers, whereas the other Guardian was checking each individual aid worker. It did seem like she was in a separate spot. I don't really know if that was intentional or not. I didn't get much out of it.
Hey, this is the part where I realized that they were Gilead people and not Canadian, like, Coast Guard people or something.
It was just now when I think Roxy said it first, and I was like, oh, yeah, they would be Guardians. But I thought they were too. The way she appealed to him sounded like not a Guardian, or not a Gilead Guardian, at least not a believer. Jeez. You know, because doesn't she say to him something about, like, oh, I hope you don't have loved ones in Chicago? But I mean, it could be Gilead. Gilead has people in Chicago. I mean, I don't know.
No.
It's definitely Gilead people, though, because in the scene prior, when Una and Moira are first talking on the boat, Una talks about how, like, oh, we're only we're so close, we only have the port inspection, and then we're 10 hours from home. Yeah. And Moira's like, what? What are you talking about? And Una says that, yeah, we have a port inspection, or we have an inspection before we leave their waters. They embark on the boat.
Okay.
Yeah, they embark on the boat. They do a quick look over. Totally normal protocol, and that's when Moira's face drops because she understands that there is going to be a search of some persuasion. Yeah. So that to me, like, gives a pretty solid implication that these are Gilead people.
Yeah, I guess I just naively didn't assume that it was Gilead people that would be in charge of the port, but it makes sense that they would. I don't know who else would be in charge of it. I just didn't really think about it other than it seemed like some neutral party checking them in and out is just how I assumed it made sense. But no, I'm thinking Guardians, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know boaty things, but one boaty thing I was wondering about was how they were going to come up with these, like, this identification, like, right quick to make sure that she passes this boat inspection, right? And I'm shocked by that because I'm like, okay, so unless Gilead has, like, I don't know, some sort of, like, communication with their organization ahead of time to let them know who is coming into their country, if they want to make sure nobody is going out of their country with them, then I would assume they would be checking the list to make sure it, like, matches so that they know whether or not they have an extra person. Right. So that's one boaty thing that I just question. And I don't even know if it's a boaty thing. So if there's somebody that knows things about boats and knows if it's kind of like a, I don't know, I'm thinking of, like, flight manifest terms, like, kind of stuff. Do boats operate the same way? Thanks.
Mm-hmm. I'm also thinking about, in everyone's favorite, The Testaments, the Pearl Girls going in and out. They have records of each Pearl Girl's name as they enter into Canada, and their identification entering Canada and exiting Canada. So one could safely presume that, based off of stuff that is canon in this world, that the same is happening on the other end of things. That so how did they manage to get an extra person added onto this dossier?
Well, so here's the theory. Because the Testaments is later, so that could be something that they develop over time because of learned experiences. And I'm wondering if it's not so much that these aid workers don't ever take people out, because maybe that's why the extra identifications are on hand.
Okay.
Maybe it's that they just specifically don't want to take June Osborne out because that will end all sneaking of people out. Maybe.
That sounds solid to me.
Uh-oh.
Fuck me. Roxy is frozen. All right, so we got boat cops on the scene. They are here to inspect. And this was really tedious and scary. And I'm also very surprised that when we get to the June part, that she choked on this. But Moira was her pinch hitter. Like, she really... Because I think we know what June was going to do here.
Absolutely. Well, not absolutely, but yes, I agree. That's a really strong consideration, considering in the scene prior, June was saying, just turn me in. My life isn't worth more than anyone else's. And like, she did have this sort of look to her that it almost rang of clarity.
Well, right up until that point, though, you know, we see all the people go through the questioning, and it seems like a very tense situation. And when they do get to June, she just seems like she's run out of steam. Like, completely run out of steam, not operating on all cylinders. We've seen her in high-stakes situations before, and she has this ability to, you know, think on her feet and just try to, like, navigate the best that she can. And she's struggling here. And so part of me was like, okay, you told her not to fuck it up, but did you think of like maybe coaching her? I'd like to know what the coaching process was for this.
Right. I mean, you know, she has a concussion. Like,
Yeah.
like I really think they should have spelled it out for her
what
needed to happen. And I'm not sure if that is exactly how it went down.
Yeah.
I mean, they at least gave her a fake name, Rachel Smith. And like, so at least there was some mark of like a conversation as to what she should be saying. But yeah, no, if Moira wasn't there, and Moira was honest, she got knocked to the ground and knocked her head. I mean, it's a bit of a lie by omission because she's not explaining that she got knocked on the head when she was caught in the blast, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, had Moira not been here to save June, then June, I definitely feel like June would have just turned herself in at that point.
I think she was having a hard time answering the question, what happened to you? And I feel like when she opens her mouth, I thought she was really at that point going to be like, this is my story, you know, and I don't know what exactly was going to come out of her mouth, but what happened to her is a very, very big and broad question, and she has a lot of answers. So I really think that's what was happening there. And also because she was entirely running on fumes and concussed and, you know, like all of the things, I think, plus her motivations of I'm not worth more than anyone. I think it was all of that, and she kind of just froze, and then that question almost propelled her to just explain what happened to her exactly.
Right. That's a good point, because I could have very easily just launched her right into a diatribe of like 7 years ago.
Right? Did something happen to you? Oh, buddy, has it ever? You're going to have to read the book.
And the sequel.
Or watch the TV show. Oh my gosh. But they passed. Somehow, you know, she passed. Like, thank God for Moira. Moira saved her ass here. You made it, baby. You're going to Canada. And I really don't think that June was comprehending any of this, really.